the sun, the fields are alive. Cheering crowds and the teams collide. In these moments, we stand tall and free. First pride runs deep in me. With every touchdown, we rise and we cheer. Unity and spirit, the heart of the year. Raising voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zone to go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. Girls in the game, they're fierce and bright. Flag in hand, they give it their might. From every town they bring their dreams. On this field of gold, nothing's as it seems. Together we shine, together we play. In Florida's heart, we own this day. Raise your voices, let's make it loud. In Florida's high schools, we're so damn proud. From the bleachers to the end zones go, football and cheers make our spirits grow. So here's to the game, we'll rise and stand. In Florida's field, we're the band.
All right, it is that time. It is time for the Drive the State edition of the Blitz here. Josh Wilson along Christopher Light here as we go into this. We are coming to you. It's hard to believe we're already talking playoffs, Chris.
Yeah, and here we are. This is going to be fun. It's going to be interesting, and good Lord, we're going to be digesting a lot here.
Yeah, good Lord, indeed, and we are going to be digesting a lot here. And as we come to you here, and we got it already up here, and as we've got it, being Chris, boy, as you already see here, we're going to go ahead and talk about the world classification bracket here, as we see here on the screen already, and boy, we definitely appreciate everybody that's joining us here on our Drive to State edition of the Blitz here on FloridaHSFootball.com, and definitely appreciate everybody that yes, nice music. I had to change it up a little bit for Drive the State because that way it sets itself out a little bit here. But boy, the FHSAA came out with the first playoff power rankings today, and boy, I got some major head scratchers here, Chris, especially as we start to digest what rural looks like here. And this is a 16-team bracket. We're not going to even try to digest what could be the rural FIT bracket this year or any FIT brackets, because there's some word out there that potentially, Chris, that a lot of the rural schools this year are rejecting the FIT, any thoughts of even participating in the FIT bracket if they don't make the 16-team bracket.
Yeah, it doesn't really surprise me. It's a one-year experiment so far, and the FIT was what it was, but who knows? Whether they want to continue that thing or not remains to be seen.
No, absolutely. Here, as you see, Blountstown is the leadoff team sitting in that number one spot here as we go through this. Blountstown hitting that 1 seed right now, projected. Port St. Joe being a 16 seed. Blountstown, there's some concerns I feel like about Blountstown, being the 1 seed. I don't feel like necessarily I don't think their strength of schedule is necessarily a thing, but the biggest difference that we have to talk about here, Chris, is that with everything is that the is the Max Preps rankings, what we see on maxpreps.com is there's a predictive model. It's in the rankings, but be it what they used for years with the Freeman rankings. Now with their new model, it's the same way. There's a predictive model in football. Other sports, they don't put a predictive model in it. Here in this one, there's a lot of differences here. I mean, a lot of like Madison County, Hawthorne, they're usually sitting there closer to being top tier teams in that world class. Where do we see that? Hawthorne sitting at a 9 seed, Madison at a 12, Madison the defending state champ, Hawthorne the state runner up last year. This is wacky. This is wacky when we look at this.
I can't put my finger on it, but there's something going on with the algorithm, whatever they're using. No, it's hard to put into words what we're seeing. I mean, what the question I've got is, what is the formula?
Yeah, and nobody knows this formula. Nobody knows what that formula is. Nobody knows what it's like. What are we doing with it? How are we doing with it? And it really, you can, Taylor County, they're sitting there at the 2 seed. I don't know if necessarily Taylor County is the best. It's the second best team in rural football. Really, at the end of the day, here we go. You know what? You can just throw this out for all I care. By the time we go back and look at week 6 and we look at what comes out after everything's done at the end of the season, I guarantee you this bracket is going to look very much different than all the brackets that we show you here tonight on the Drive the State.
Yeah, this is in no way going to look the same in week 11 or 12 or whatever week we're going to get these last rankings. We still don't know the answer to that question.
No, and I really don't know what it's going to be like. This World Championship bracket, I mean, you look at it, obviously you see Trenton there. Trenton's obviously had a good season so far. They're sitting there at the number 6 seed. Fort Meade, who won the Rural FIT last year, they're sitting there 8 seed. And it always says that's why the formula is called secret sauce. Well, I have to give Noli that one right there on that one there. So there you go.
They call the UIL Texas realignment the biggest secrets in the world, but this ranks right up there.
Yeah, I mean, you see there, Chiefland 3, Pahokee 4, Chipley 5. Looking at it, obviously, again, Madison County at 12. There's a lot of head scratchers here, Chris, in terms of trying to understand what's going on here. Fort White sitting there 13, Sneads 14, Branford 15. I mean, there's a lot of questions here. But I guarantee it, if we put this, if we leave this, I save this, keep these, these brackets, graphics for end of the season. We go back and look at it. Hey, what was week 6 versus what was what's the final ranking of the year before playoffs? I guarantee this playoff bracket's going to look vastly different. Yeah,
exactly. And Chiefland sitting at 3. I don't know what to think of that either.
I feel like their loss to Baker County was a bad loss, but apparently the system says no. So we'll see. We'll see what it says here as we roll along here. But I'm going to roll into our Class 1A bracket here in terms of the class, because we got 4 classification. Obviously four teams here to roll with here as we roll along here. Four regions. But as you see here, Chris, this is. By the way, Emery, it's the secret formula to the Krabby Patty recipe or
yeah.
The food conversation is apparently carried over to the Drive the State, Chris. Yeah. But here we go. Take a look at Class 1A. Well, boy, I mean, if you were thinking Trinity Christian was going to be anywhere near the top, yeah, right. 1 and 4, they're sitting at the 7 seed, Chris, and a lot of people had high expectations for Trinity Christian this year. So far, the rankings are showing otherwise. But Clay, how about McClay? Hats off to them. They're doing really exceedingly well, sitting there at getting that number 1 seed right now. And I got to tell you, it looks really, really interesting what we're seeing out of McClay right now.
Yeah, McClay, that's to be expected right now. They deserve that number 1 seed right now, and for the way they played. So, but to see my screen flickering here. To see University Christian at number 2. That's another interesting thing that I'm looking at too.
University Christian. I think University Christian sitting there at 2 is not. It's not a far-fetched idea for them in this one in Class 1A Region 1 here. But I gotta say this. Looking at this here, I mean, Impact Christian. Obviously, University Christian just played Impact Christian. Obviously, they're rated higher. University Christian 4-1, Impact 3-1 right now on the season. Trinity Catholic 2-2. I don't know. Oh gosh, here we go. Mark Cannon, he's right. This is the Chaminade Matata. This is a Chaminade Invitational, Chris.
Well, he's not wrong about that.
A lot of wacky rankings, and this is where you think you're seeing wacky here in terms of the rankings right now. Wait until you see the rest of this bracket, because I feel like this is even gets wackier. Episcopal 5, North Florida Christian 6. North Florida Christian started citizen improvements under Kes McCarthy. Obviously, Trinity Christian 7, but I feel like Trinity Christian will win their district, but they may not be too far off that we're going to see Trinity Christian sitting there between a 5 and an 8 seed this year.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me either, but I wouldn't be surprised if some of these teams like Providence goes up or FAMU DRS.
Well, FAMU DRS has been struggling. Kipbold City, same with PK Young. Those 3 schools are honestly, Chris, have been struggling. But Providence, I'm kind of surprised Providence is an 8. North Florida Educational, that kind of surprised me there being number 8 now. But again, this is week 6, not week 11, week 12. So again, there's a lot to wait to be happen here. But as we go through here on our next one here in our terms of our teams here, Region 2, Clearwater Central Catholic. Actually, this one I agree with the 1 seed. It makes a ton of sense. Clearwater Central Catholic sitting there at 1. That's the team that should be sitting there at 1, in my opinion. Carrollwood Day sitting there at 2. That I see going to be back and forth here. I think that's going to be back and forth probably between Carrollwood Day and Lakeland Christian right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be interesting to see how that ends up. I think Lakeland Christian is probably going to end up with the number 2 seed at the end of it. But there's only 9 teams in the district, so there's going to be 1 team left out.
Yeah, 9 teams in the region here. It just really, when you look at this, the number of teams here, obviously First Academy would have been in there, but First Academy is ineligible this year. They're not even playing the teams in their district this year, by the way. So, why they're listed on the FHSAA on the FHSAA rankings to start with, I don't know. But I digress. Crescent City right now is the team on the outside looking in. Obviously, they play Filer Lopez this week. That'll determine that district 1A5, 2-team district. Yeah. Again, the playoff roadmaps that we put out tomorrow. Just stand by and hold on that one, because you're gonna be scratching your head as we talk about this even further with the 2-team districts. Mm-hmm. But really looking at it here as we roll along here in terms of looking at what we've got here in terms of the teams here, I got to tell you now, this one, Region 3, St. Pete Catholic. This one I'm trying to grasp my head around, because I don't think necessarily St. Pete Catholic's played the best schedule in terms so far. But again, it's only looking at the games that have been played so far to date, not looking ahead to the games that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, I'm just really scratching my head, especially Cardinal Newman. I mean, yeah, they're 3-2, but I feel like they're a better 3-2 team. I think they're a better team in that region.
I could see St. Pete's Catholic. St. Pete Catholic, I think should be a number 4 seed, to be honest with you right now.
Okay, so you know what? We're going to do this, and we should have did this in the start here, okay? Because the rankings will go up tomorrow, but I can tell you by looking at, I'm going to pull it up here on the sheet here, because the calculations have already been ran this week for the rankings. Obviously, the forecast is out, so the calculations have been ran. Let me pull it up here. Where is it at here? The rankings. Okay, let me do it this way, because I can do it. I can sort it by rankings by class. There we go. Okay, let's see. Boy, let me just do this with Class 1A, because that way I can give you all a better look at what I'm seeing from the Florida Power Rankings Index versus what we've got in terms of the rankings that we have that we're obviously looking at from the FHSAA here, because let's see. Let's see. Let me do region. Yeah, I can do it this way. Here we go. Region 3. That's what I want. Region 3 right now. Oh, come on. Yeah, there we go. I just want to see the Region 3 teams. Okay, and what in Region 3 right now? Where does St. Pete Catholic sit? They're like the 5th best team in that region, according to the rankings here. St. John Newman is actually the best team right now, according to the Florida Power Rankings Index in that region in community school. And where do we find that community school sitting at 2? Obviously, okay, we're pretty spot on, but St. John Newman 3rd. I got some questions here, Chris.
Yeah, I do too. I mean, as soon as I saw St. Petersburg Catholic at number 1, I was like, "There's no way." I mean.
And by the way, let me go back here on this one. We're back to Region 2. By the way, we're kind of in alignment with CCC. Lakeland Christian at 3. Yeah, Carrollwood Day 2. Yeah, you can flip it around. So we're kind of getting some alignments here in terms of what we've got. And obviously go back to Region 1 real quick here, because this is, I think, is a good idea that we do this here, because, just deep diving real quick in terms of what we've got here, Chris. It is an agreement with McClay. It's an agreement with University Christian, even Impact Christian. So 1, 2, 3, our rankings are actually lining up.
Yeah, I mean,
but Episcopal's a 4, and they're actually 5 on here. Trinity Catholic is 5, but they're actually 4. So again, we're having some flip flops. Yeah, I mean, there's some questions. Providence probably should be in this mix, but they're not. So that's where we're at here. But with that said, here it's really interesting. But let's get to Region 4, Chris, because this one I got massive questions here for this one.
Yeah, I got some issues with us.
I mean, let's talk about this. What is the glaring thing you see, Chris? I think everybody's seeing it right now.
Yeah, Archbishop Carroll number 3. What the hell?
I mean, Archbishop Carroll number 3. How about Shema Madonna at 2? That's more in my opinion. Well, that's the what the heck here?
Yeah, I'm confused why St. Andrews is number 1.
Oh, that's considering that in Emory, you know what? It would be interesting to put a spreadsheet together and compare Josh's rankings to the FHSAA Max Price rankings. That's something I could probably potentially do tomorrow. But we got to get the playoff roadmaps out. We got to get also the inside the numbers, and then we also have our 4 shows tomorrow night. So, but some people are saying that I saw a comment on here. It says you guys are underestimating St. Pete Catholic. They look good regardless of opponent. I get that, but they look good. But I got to see some tougher. I need to see something a little bit on terms of the tougher schedule part. That's where I just need to see. Good. Obviously, Southwest Florida Christian will give us a lot of answers this week on that one. So we'll see what happens here. But on this one, Shema Madonna, it's really interesting. Westminster Christian at 4. True North. I think True North's being a little undervalued here. Palmer Trinity. Palmer Trinity, my ranking puts it a little higher with them, but you could go back and forth. Obviously, St. John Paul II. 8, Miami Edison 6. There's some variations here, but we're gonna see as we roll along here this bounces.
Out of those teams that are not in that playoff bracket, Somerset Prep should be in somewhere in the top 8.
Well, they're 1 and 4 right now, but again, we'll have to see what's going to happen here. But Somerset Prep could. Depending on what St. John Paul II does, who is sitting they've only played a couple of games. We'll have to see what's going to happen here with them. We'll find out as we roll along. But obviously, I agree. Right now, this is Shema Madonna's classification. I think this is theirs to lose. But as we roll along here, you'll see what it's like. So. With that said, with that particularly and said there on that one here, how about we roll into Class 2A, guys, and let's take a look at Class 2A Region 1 here. This should be no surprise, in my opinion, that Bulls is sitting there at the number 1 seed right now.
Yeah, that's not a surprise. But looking at it, the one thing that stands out at me is with Pensacola Catholic are and where Florida High are.
No, I agree. I agree with you on that one. And it's, when you look at it, Bowles here sitting at 1, Pensacola Catholic 3, and then Freeport 2. I feel, Pensacola Catholic, there's a couple of things I could say that, there's some things that I would say that it's really, there's going to be some things that we're going to have to discuss here as we roll along here. But, honestly, thinking about this, I don't necessarily disagree with what they're putting out here in terms of of everything in terms of the rankings here right this second, Chris.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one, but you look at the teams that are sitting on the inside out. North Bay Haven, that's one team I think should be in the top 8.
No, absolutely here. All right, so let me go ahead and do it this way because I've got the sheet open here. So let me go ahead and let me do it since I've already got it sorted by thing. Let's go ahead and put it to region. Let's do it this way. Yeah, okay. Here we go. So right this second, in terms of Bowles, it's saying Bowles, Pensacola Catholic. I agree with you. Maybe potential Pensacola Catholic being maybe like the 2 seed here that could be, but they're right now listed as the 3. Baldwin is actually in terms of the rankings up high. Freeport maybe the max pressure may be valuing Freeport more than what it is Baldwin. And I, honestly, I gotta say this is that I feel like Baldwin has probably played a tougher schedule in my opinion than what Freeport has at this particular point. Obviously, South Walton sitting there about the mid range. It seems like oh, you know what? I'm sorry. South Walton is supposed to be that 5 seed. Somehow I've duplicated and put Bozeman in, so it's South Walton that's this actually the 5 seed. Bozeman's the 7 seed, and then in this ranking here, but Gaston County, since Gaston County's not in it, Gaston County, we got to talk about it. And here's the interesting one that I'm really kind of like, and I'm just trying to wrap my hand around is Walton, but it's got Mariana a little bit higher, but Bozeman, my ranking is not so keen on Bozeman here, Chris.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised with that one too. I mean.
Yeah, it really boils down to. I mean, I'm kind of interested in that one, but let's go to Class 2A Region 2 here. Let's look at what we've got here in this one here. Bradford 1. I actually agree with what it's telling us here about Bradford in a lot of ways because I feel like Bradford's really good. My ranking's kind of valuing the Villages a little bit higher than Bradford, but really, at the end of the day, I got to say this. Villages has come a long way. Bradford, I feel like maybe has played a little bit tougher schedule in my opinion, but at the end of the day, I'm interested to see what Villages is going to do here with the second half stretch of the season. And then obviously, Cocoa 4. I think that about right this second. We're based upon it's got Santa Fe at 3. I think that's maybe flip those 2 teams right this second. In that my opinion. Newberry, interesting enough, Newberry is not in the mix here. Dallas is besides the fact Newberry's 1 and 3. Newberry's played a tough schedule. I don't think Newberry's getting a lot of value in terms of the max rush rankings where they should be at. My ranking, Newberry, Santa Fe is below them. Berkeley Prep, another team that is in this region that is not in the mix here right this second. They're on the outside here. In terms of where Berkeley Prep is at. Berkeley Prep is right now, according to the FHSAA Max Rush rankings, sitting at number 9. Obviously, you see Lake Placid 8. They would be the one team, but again, here we are. Lake Placid. Whoever wins District 8, District 7 in Class 2A. They're gonna be the 8 seed. It's a very weak district. It's really honestly, it's just. There's a lot there to say, and Reno's not happy about the Newberry stuff. No, Reno would tell you Newberry is not that good this year, so let's just go there. But hey, Astronaut, they're sitting there in the mix, and that remember, Astronaut got snubbed last year. They beat the Villages, and they didn't get the playoff spot the Villages did. But the Villages are so much better this year, in my opinion. So. With that said, and of course, another team that was in the mix last year, Palaca, they're sitting 10. Newberry's 13th right now in terms of the rankings here. So keep that in mind as we go through this. A lot of things could change here. This picture could look totally different here come by the time we're to week 12.
Yeah. you look at it after not being where they're at. Maybe lower. I don't.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Of course, as we look here at Region 3, it's got Lakewood at 1, but and then Cardinal Mooney 2. Obviously, they're the top 2 teams in terms of the Florida Power Rankings Index for Region 3. Glade Central 3. So we're kind of in alignment here. Calvary Christian, Fort Lauderdale 4, Bishop Row 5. So we're actually got some agreements going here in this particular region. Kings Academy 6, and then Inlet Grove in this region here is actually, they're on the outside looking in at a 10, but it's like Inlet Grove. What's in my rankings, Inlet Grove probably maybe should be in the mix here. They're 2-1. Obviously, they had a game that got scrapped, obviously due to weather issues. But and then and then there's Somerset Canyon sitting there at 8. And really, what's interesting, North Broward perhaps sitting there 7. So we got some similarities here, but there's also some differences.
Yeah. I'm largely in agreement with this region, but you could flip a couple of them around. No,
absolutely. Lakewood versus Cardinal Mooney would be epic. Well, they're in the same district, Mark. So get ready for that showdown coming here pretty soon. So yeah. So we'll get an answer on that one. All right, looking at Region 4 in Class 2A. It's got Cardinal Gibbons 1, Immaculate Cell, who we talked to, Coach Valle from Immaculate Cell. They're sitting there at 4, but my ranking saying, hey, Immaculate Cell might be pretty good. Cardinal Gibbons sitting there, obviously, I feel like maybe, when we look at it, Somerset Silver Ponds being a little too valued high, I feel like, in my opinion. Killian maybe a little too valued high as well. I feel like Somerset Silver Ponds, they haven't played as tough of a schedule, in my opinion, as like LaSalle and Gibbons.
I agree with that. And there's no way that should be number 2. I think Cardinal Gibbons should be at least a 3 or 4.
No, absolutely.
And maybe I think Killian should be above Cardinal Gibbons right now.
No, I agree.
Immaculate LaSalle, I think they should be the number 1 seed.
Oh, absolutely. All right, as we go into region Class 3A, Region 1 here, as we roll along here, no surprise, anybody should be not surprised to see Reigns sitting there at number 1 here in this one here, Chris. Definitely no surprise here.
Yeah, not a surprise there. Just kind of glancing at it a little bit, gotta be sitting at number 9 outside. On the outside looking in. That's interesting to me.
That is interesting to me too as well. But Gobby sitting there 2 and 3. The district's kind of like, what call is 2 and 2. Look at this with this region. Reigns 1. Obviously, no surprise. Bay 3. Bay's in the top 3 in this region in my rankings as well. Yulee at 2. Reigns, Bay, Yulee, we're in agreement in terms, maybe not necessarily the exact order, but where the rankings are. It will be Mark Cannon. By the way, the World Championship, my understanding is that they're actually going to try to get it on a Saturday night so it does not conflict with the state semifinals on Friday night for 1A through 7A. So I would prefer they put it on Saturday night. That way we can attend state semifinal games and then see the state championship game for rural. So we'll leave it at that for there. But Wakulla's sitting there at 7. Wakulla, we're a little higher in my rankings. West Florida, Bishop Kenny, usual suspects. Godby, Baker County, interesting. Menendez sitting there. Godby sitting there on the outside. I think that's my biggest stunner right this second. Is sitting there at 9 on the outside, looking in on this one. And then, of course, as we roll along here, Region 2, Chris. We got Bishop Moore, obviously agreement in there with number 1 seed right now. South Sumter 2. So we're in agreement here in terms of our rankings versus what the FHA rankings are. So we're seeing some similarities here. Merritt Island 3, O'Galley 4. Rolling along. East Side 5, Weeki Wachee 6. This is actually interesting. Tavares is 8, and then Hernando is actually 7. And by the way, so Weeki Wachee, Hernando, they're in that same district, I believe. I'm gonna go back to the district.
Yes, they are.
Yeah. So right now, Wiki Wachi would be that district champion, but really, in all honesty, I mean, Hernando would be what was one. Hernando done. Here's one team, Dunellen. Dunellen's won that district the last couple of years, and Dunellen's sitting there, and really, it really. It just, I mean, it's kind of interesting sitting there. Titusville 7 to Tavares 8 right now, so there's a lot right there riding on this one.
Yeah, I'm just kind of glancing at this. I can't really disagree with this one. It's right down the middle. Tavares, I got questions about right now, but that's my only gripe. Maybe Tavares sitting at 8.
No, absolutely. Looking at this here on terms of the Region 3 here, look at this one here. Obviously, this one in Region 3, there's 14 teams in this one here, and Booker leads the way. Obviously, we got an agreement here. Jefferson, I've got probably Jefferson sitting there, probably 2 in my rankings. I'm going to say, you know what, we in this one, Bayshore, I feel like that'll take care of itself. I feel like, there is a separation there in terms of those two teams. 3, Nature Coast sitting there, Bayshore sitting there, obviously Jefferson at 4, Chamberlain 5. We're Boca Ciega, but I think Boca Ciega is rated way low considering where they're at here. But 2 and 2, but
I agree.
Chamberlain's 3 and 1. You know what? Here's the one that really kind of is I'm kind of befuddled around is Mulberry, who's 1 and 4. And they're ahead of a couple teams, like they're ahead of like a Dunedin who's 2 and 3. There's a man.
I would take Hudson over Mulberry right now.
No, I agree. Gibbs 2 and 3, but Gibbs is working hard. I think Gibbs is more of an impressive team than I think a lot of people want to give credit for.
Yeah, I agree with that one.
So no, absolutely here. All right, here, Region 4 in Class 3A, as we look at it here real quick here, Miami Central sitting there 1 seed. Really at the end of the day, you could put Miami Central, Miami Northwestern 1, 2. They're going to fight for that 1-2 spot. It's really a no given. St. Brendan 3, and really looking at it, there's some questions there. I don't know if St. Brendan's necessarily played the best schedule, but I could say the same thing about Estero, who's sitting there at 7. Estero's higher than that in my rankings here in the Power Rankings Index. Cypress Lake 4, there's that, Cypress Lake 4, Key West sitting there at 5, Lele at 6, and then Somerset Academy, Pembroke Pines at 8. I think we've got a lot of the same teams in there. It's just, where do we go with this? And I may have looked at it with Mulberry wrong on that one, Emery. It may have been 2 games. I just got to go back and look. I'll have to look at it and say it's Lele. Yeah, Lele. Did I say it right? Lele. Chris, I see half a shadow on you.
There you go.
So 3A Region 4 here. Oh boy. So, why don't we take a quick 2-minute break, and then we'll come back and we'll do the rest of the classifications here, and we'll go from there. You're watching the Drive the State show here on the Drive the State edition of the Blitz here on FHSAA.com and FHSAA.com social media handles. We'll be right back right after this 2-minute timeout.
Box Out gives you the ability to create graphics at the speed of sports to highlight your athletic department, teams, and student athletes in seconds. Used and trusted by Notre Dame, Ohio State, UConn, Marquette, Georgetown, and many more of the top college brands in the country. If you want your school's brand to stand out through all the clutter, start your free demo at boxoutsports.com.
And he's in the end zone for the touchdown. Touchdown.
Juggled and caught.
I've been thinking about this for a long time. I thought if that's out there, I want to make sure I see it and I get involved in it, because to me, this was music to my ears. I was blown away. When you look at today's kid, the millennium kid, they learn by being able to see it. If I can see it, there's a great chance that I can do it. The First Down Playbook is a tool that can essentially change the way we teach the game.
All right, welcome back here to the Drive the State show here as we roll into Class 4A here, Chris. And as we apparently had talk about you having a flashlight on you somehow in the break.
Well, maybe I'm the ghost.
Hey, Halloween's coming up pretty quickly.
Yeah, that's true. You know, they do have a scary 12-foot statue at Lowe's, though.
Yeah.
12-foot ghost.
Yeah, no, I hear that one. But anyways, as we roll along here into Class 4A Region 1, we have St. Augustine sitting there holding there at the 1 spot. And really, I got to be honest with you, I'm not too surprised here, given the way that St. Augustine has played here in recent weeks. Obviously, big wins over Bowles, and then, of course, a big win over Nice here this past week.
Mm-hmm. I'm not surprised by this at all. I kind of agree with the top 4, maybe 5, but then after that, there's a lot of questions.
No, absolutely. Here, as I gonna go into the top teams in there in the region, and St. Augustine won. I mean, but my rankings kind of lean towards on Choctaw, but Choctaw got a big win over Niceville. So, but Choctaw's 2, and then obviously Columbia. How about Columbia? We're the top 3 teams. Yes, maybe not necessarily in the same order. And then the way, obviously Ed White. Pine Forest, but here's Pensacola, Booker T. Washington, all the way sitting there at a 4 seed, and I think that might be a little high. Arnold at 6. That's probably about about where they probably should be at. Obviously, Riverside sitting there at 8. Here we go, and I got to point this out here is it's Gambia, a team that usually has been in the mix here in the playoff rankings. Where are they sitting at? Number 13 in this region right now.
Yeah, 13 out of 14. And it's not a surprise considering how bad they played this year. I mean,
no, absolutely. No, absolutely here. And as we roll into Region 2 here, Zephyrhills sitting at the 1 seed, and Zephyrhills sitting at 1. That's, there's it's not too surprising. But if you look at it here, Lake Wells ahead of Auburndale, but you know what? Auburndale can settle a lot of things if they beat Jones this week.
Yeah, I agree. My personal opinion, I think Auburndale should be number 2, Lake Wells 3, but we're just biting apples here. I don't know, but then you got Jones sitting right there, so that's going to be an interesting 3-horse race right there.
No, absolutely. Of course, my rankings, Auburndale still hasn't. Auburndale's trying to make a push in the rankings, but it hasn't gotten higher, and it needs to go higher. But I think honestly, the Max Preps rankings doesn't put a head-to-head in this one. But as I've learned over the last few weeks, especially with the Florida Power Rankings Index, you've got to have a head-to-head factor. I've been working on making sure that's incorporated even further, and it really is now. But there's still some things where it's the strength of schedule. You're also trying to forward look. Well, the FHA Max Press Power Rankings don't look forward ahead, so we're gonna have to see what's gonna happen here as we roll along here. But obviously, you see Vanguard 5. I think Vanguard probably should be a little bit higher in my opinion. New Smyrna Beach probably about where they should be. Deltona is really interesting. Lecanto also interesting, but Rockledge is not in the mix. They're actually sitting at 10. Seabreeze sitting there at 9. So out of 17 teams in that region, it's really, really interesting. But again, a lot of football still left to be played, even though we're at the halfway point of the season.
Yeah. Rockledge being out of the picture, it kind of surprises me. I would probably pick them above Lecanto, maybe above Deltona.
But yeah. It's really interesting. This is actually the only bracket that I've seen this where we had this thing. You look at it, Jesuit 1, but you see Southeast sitting there at the 8 seed, but Southeast is actually ranked number 9, but Southeast would be the district champ in their district, so they would take that spot from Blake, who's actually ranked number 8 in the region right now. And again, Mark Cannon, you said head-to-head doesn't mean that much anymore. Really, it should. I think head-to-head sometimes should mean something in some aspects. So, but that's it doesn't seem to be the case anymore these days, the way it seems. But obviously, you see that looking here. Port Charlotte. I think Port Charlotte is actually too low here. They're 5. They should be higher. Come on now. What's going on here? I don't know. I'm scratching my head over it. Obviously, Dunbar's in the mix. Obviously, Naples. Really at the end of the day, River Ridge, I feel like is compared to the schedules that Naples and Port Charlotte and even Dunbar and South Fort Myers have played, I feel like River Ridge is way too high.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think River Ridge should be more maybe a 6 or 7, but compared to the rest of the schedule, compared to the rest of these teams here, I'd probably put River Ridge 7, Naples at 2. I'd probably put Port Charlotte at 3.
No, absolutely. And a lot of people get, again, we know this is the first week of the power rankings. Obviously, we know what the things are going to change here, so just keep that in mind here. Obviously, here we go, Class 4A, Region 4. Look at there, Archbishop McCarthy, the 1 seed. That's a head scratcher there. Look where American Heritage is at. By the way, 1 and 3 American Heritage is sitting there at an 8 seed. All right, I'm sorry, but American Heritage.
I've got bones to pick with this because American Heritage plays a much tougher schedule than every team in this region.
Absolutely. And yet they're sitting there at number 8. Okay, where I will tell you this. I'll go ahead and just go and say American Heritage will be the number 1 team still in Class 4A coming this week in the FPRI rankings. Why? Their strength of schedule. Their strength of schedule. All right. Their strength of schedule, who they played, the teams they played. To me, okay, I get it. They lost to Miami. I get it. They lost to a lot of these teams. But at the end of the day, it's the schedule they have played. I mean, come on. You played in the car for crying out loud.
Mm-hmm.
There's just too much there that tells me that they, in my opinion, they have to be higher here. It's just
you go back to the beginning of the year, and this wouldn't be a discussion.
I mean, obviously Dillard at 3. I feel like Dillard's probably a better team than that. Jensen Beach at 2. I feel like that's kind of overvalued there. John Carroll at 4, probably about right. Archbishop McCarthy should be lower than that. They're in my opinion, Archbishop McCarthy's on the 1 seed.
Mm-hmm.
Norland at 6. That's actually about right where my rankings have got them at. But you know what, Dr. Garcia. Should Dr. Garcia be in this mix? Oh yeah. Where's Dr. Garcia sitting at in these rankings here right now? They're not in the top 8 right this second. They are sitting there at 9. They're 1 outside of this right now.
Another team I think should be in the top 8 would be Boynton Beach.
I mean, there'll be some discussion for about Boynton Beach there. Obviously, 3-2. Dr. Garcia 3-2. Obviously, we're going to get a lot of this. We're going to get a lot of that settled here this week here. But we'll have to see. And I agree, Mark Cannon. Yeah, I think American Heritage is better than everybody in this bracket here, and yet they're sitting there at the 8 seed. So this is the one I've got massive bones to pick here, basically, as we roll.
Yeah, I think the biggest complaint I got is American Heritage, and that's just. I think it's a gross misrepresentation of the rankings.
Well, I agree with you. I feel like there's got to be something better here in terms of this here as we roll along here in terms of how it's looked at here. All right, so because I know it's getting late here, I know we're both of us are exhausted here, but let's go ahead and just get this through this here. All right, Class 5A. All right, here's Region 1 here as we look at it here. Milton, the 1 seed. You know what? Milton, the 1 seed, actually, it matches what I've got. And actually, Milton's playing some really, I'm going to say it, damn good football right now.
Oh, yeah. We talked about this yesterday. Milton, they've been playing world beaters out there. And we got a game on the schedule this week with Milton that it's going to be very interesting.
I'll say this here, Milton 1, not surprised here. Mainland 2, I'm really not surprised. My rankings kind of Mainland got a little lower, but I feel like the Mainland game against Spruce Creek, I feel like that kind of caught them there. Obviously 14-7 against Coffee, I feel like that kind of maybe not, it's not being maybe a little too much overvalued. You see there, Beachside 3. Beachside's having a pretty doggone good season. Mosley, I feel like, is too undervalued right this second, given the fact that I feel like they should be higher. Obviously, Ponte Vedra's there in the mix there. 4, Middleburg 5. And here's a team that I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. Is Lincoln is sitting there at 7, but I'm kind of curious to see what's going to happen. Middleburg is I was trying to really just go by and not talk about the alma mater like that right in a second because this thing's going to change here. Lincoln at 7, I'm really interested to see because Leon and Lincoln are going to be coming up here pretty quickly. I'm kind of interested to see what's going to happen. Leon, I think, is a much better improved team. Obviously, Milton is a much better improved team. The forecast was calling obviously Milton to only win 1 game this year. Well, they've won 5, so definitely a heads up for in terms of projection. But I'm just curious to see what's going to happen here. But obviously Mosley, I think Mosley's way too low. Excuse me on this one. So
you know what's interesting about this whole side of the bracket? There's three teams sitting on the outside that I think have all the potential in the world to be in the top 8. You look at
Matanzas,
Matanzas, Childs, and Niceville.
Yeah, no, absolutely, I agree. And Niceville sitting on the outside, there you go. But we'll see. But looking at Region 2, Chris Gaither at 1 here, and actually, this one's got me a head scratching a little bit. I feel like Lakeland is too undervalued here. I feel like Lakeland should be the 1 seed right now. They've played a tough schedule.
Yeah, I agree. Lakeland should be number 1. Gaither 2, I think, would be number 2. Edgewater, I have questions about.
Tampa Bay Tech at 4 actually is right.
Yeah.
But, interesting enough, there's Lake Gibson that maybe Lake Gibson's on the outside looking in. They're like 10, but you know what? My rankings kind of value them a little bit because they're winning some. They've won a couple of games. And they've been closer in some games that they probably should not have been. Winter Springs at 6. That is interesting right there. But then there's Springstead 7. Obviously, then Spoto sitting there at 5. Sebring at 8. There could be some talk about Wesley Chapel being in the mix. East Bay, obviously, on the outside looking in here, but there's some bones to pick with this region too.
Yeah, yeah. I just disagree with Lakeland being number 3, but they had that one loss to De La Salle earlier in the year, but I mean, come on.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that one. All right, looking at this particular region, Region 3, it's got Riverdale 1, but I feel like right this second, Riverdale, they slipped up a little bit against Cypress Lake. I think Cape Coral should be kind of in the mix there, but Cape Coral's 2, Riverdale 1. So we're kind of in agreement there. Immokalee 3. Immokalee's like number 3 in mine, but Immokalee's sitting there 4. Manatee's 3. I got some problems about Manatee right now because there's just I feel like Manatee, when it comes to the tougher games, they have struggled against those tougher games.
Yeah, Manatee I think should be a lot lower. I think Charlotte should be higher.
No, I mean, but yeah, I know I agree with you on that one. But then there's Pinellas Park sitting there lurking around the 5 spot, and then Gulf Coast 6, Charlotte 7, and of course Braden River 8. And Braden River, I just don't know. I feel like there's questions about Braden River, and I don't know if Braden River should be really in this mix. I mean, Fort Myers and North Fort Myers. I mean, there's a couple other teams you could throw in the mix here, and I just
yeah. Braden River is the wild card in this whole thing. I mean, but that's the thing. But I would pick maybe 3 or 4 teams above Braden River right now.
No. All right, I got questions here. Atlantic at 1, and St. Thomas Aquinas at 3. I've got some questions here because I feel like St. Thomas is just a slight hair better than Atlantic. I think maybe it should be like Aquinas 1, Atlantic 2, Mater Academy 3. It just I got questions here. Okay, you got Martin County 5, Coconut Creek 4. Obviously, we're kind of close there on that one. I think Mater Academy, again, should be lower. North Miami's in the mix. There's the Fighting Larry Bluesteins there for you. Mm-hmm. Blanche Ely, by the way, as you noticed here, they're sitting on the outside looking in right now on this one here. They're not even, mm-hmm. I mean, they're ranked 14th right now in this region, by the way. And then you got looking at South Fork sitting there at number 8, but I feel like South Fork, I got to see a little bit more out of that one, but there's some question marks here with this region too, in particular.
I think MacArthur should be a little bit higher than they are. MacArthur is a much better team than 7 in this region. I think they should be above North Miami.
No. But Mark Hannis says Coconut Creek should be lower. I agree with him on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Mark Hannis says Blanche Ely should not be in the playoffs. I agree with you, but I mean, there's some things I could probably say that they're the thing. We'll see about South Fork. I've got some head scratchers on that one. All right, let's go to Class 6A and work towards through this as we go wrapping this thing into the stretch run here. Class 6A, Buchholz 1. That's no surprise there to anybody. I think anybody looking at this, I think should not be surprised seeing Buchholz sitting there at 1.
Yeah, Buchholz being the number 1. That's not a surprise. And then Nice number 2, Mandarin 3. That's not a surprise. Pace is interesting at number 4.
Pace at 4, actually, I agree with. Buchholz, I mean, Buchholz and Nice are very similar. Oakleaf, I think, may be a little too undervalued. I think Oakleaf maybe should be like a 3 seed. I feel like Mandarin, after losing the IMG Academy, probably could have came a little lower just because they were much closer in that game last year versus this year. But you know what? Looking at it, obviously Evans, I feel like Evans probably could be a 5 seed in my opinion, but I digress there. Lake Howell's in the mix. They got 8. Lake Howell's at 8. Obviously, one team that I'm kind of surprised not seeing here can fact that they are 4-1, but they're at number 9 as Fletcher. If you're going to tell me a team, there's some interesting things here. Fletcher 9, Quarry Creek 10. First Coast is making some noise. They're 3-1, but they're sitting there at 11. So there's a lot to digest here on this one.
Yeah, Quarry Creek, I think, should be in the mix for a playoff spot right here. I think they should be in that mix at number 8 or 7 or 8.
Well, Fletcher too, I think, should be in that mix too, because I mean, they're really these two. I mean, there's some programs here, and unfortunately, what I think is going to happen here, Chris, is that there's going to be a couple teams that are going to have winning records and are going to miss out.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of good teams in this region that are going to be left out in the playoffs, and they're not going to be very happy.
Oh, absolutely. Armwood 1 and in Region 2 here. I actually agree. That's an agreement there with Armwood as well. But Emery says that's Evans High School too, folks. Please don't confuse it for Bob Evans. Considering the school's name is at Maynard Evans, so
yeah.
But here we go. Looking at this with Region 2 here, obviously Armwood won. Looking at the schools here, Osceola. Seeing Southlake at 2, that actually kind of, I feel like maybe more like a 3 or a 4 here. I think Osceola should be like that 2 seed in my opinion. But right this second, looking at my rankings, obviously looking at it, Armwood, Osceola, Southlake, Vieira's 6 right now, but maybe Vieira's should be a little higher. You know what? Here's the one team that I absolutely think should be in this top 8, and it is not in this top 8 right this second. That's Plant.
Yeah, I agree.
Look at the schedule that Plant has played. It really, I just disagree with.
They played a much better schedule than Bartow. They played a much better schedule than Morton.
They played a much better schedule than Melbourne. Melbourne, come on now.
Yeah.
I mean, even played better schedule than Riverview, but here we are, Plant sitting on the outside looking in, and Bartow 9, Plant 10, Davenport 11. I mean, there's some real hair raisers here, people, and I'm telling you, real hair raisers on this bracket. Region 3, Palmetto 1. I disagree with this. Come on now. I mean, West Boca Raton 5. West Boca Raton has played a much tougher schedule. I mean, come on now. You're telling me Palmetto?
Why is number 5? This really pisses me off. I mean,
there's no rhyme or reason. I mean, you got Leonard sitting there at 2, Parish Community 3, and honestly, I'll tell you right now, West Boca Raton would take to the floor on these teams right this second, and probably would win them probably by 14 to 21 points.
Yeah, every one of these teams. I mean, this is silly. I mean, West Boca at 5 really just pisses me off.
Here you go. Palm Harbor's, you're looking at teams outside looking in. Palm Harbor 9, Largo 10, Sun Lake 11. Where do I find Wiregrass Ranch 15? And I can tell you right now, Wiregrass Ranch and Wiregrass Ranch is a much better team than some of these other teams that are listed here right now.
Yeah, but they haven't won much of anything. So
they've only won one game. So that's the big difference right there right now.
That's the big difference. Yeah.
No. All right. So Class 6A Region 4 here as we'll finish this up here. Miami Southridge 1. I'm not surprised here. Southridge, obviously, the team. Monarch is. Wait a second. That's, by the way, what the heck happened? Oh, I see what happened. My graphic did not think. So I apologize for the graphics. Somehow when it did download, there were some issues going with the graphics, and apparently it screwed up half the graphic here when it was downloading. So I don't know what happened, but we'll just go through it. Southridge 1, West Broward 2. So the Doral Academy 1A would be Southridge, Doral, West Broward versus Piper in the 2-7. The 3-6 would be Flanagan, South Broward, and the 4-5 would be Monarch and South Plantation. Chris, Miami Southridge, Monarch, Flanagan. I
got questions about this whole region.
There's a lot more questions than I do have answers here right now. And of course, obviously, Cooper City sitting on the outside. Dr. Crop, and Miami Beach are the next 3 out.
Flanagan sitting at number 3 and West Broward number 2. I agree with that because we have the result already. So,
it really is. You're right. There's a lot more here than meets the eye right this second. But
South Broward being at 6, I think they should be higher. So.
You're right. All right, looking at 7A Region 1 here, boy, this one gets interesting here with this one because honestly, it's not necessarily, I disagree with this one in particular where Spruce Creek is at, but look, let me get it pulled up here. You look at it, Spruce Creek 1, DeLand 2. Lake Brantley is 5. I think Lake Brantley may need to be a little higher. I think Lake Brantley has actually overperformed this year, but right this second, you got Boone sitting there at 3, Haggerty sitting there at 4, Lake Mary 6. Surprisingly, Lake Mary 2 and 2, 6 probably could be a little higher, but we'll see. the team that really is interesting, that really stands out there. You don't see Sanford Seminole in there, and you don't see you don't see Timber Creek in the mix here right this second. And what's interesting is you see Atlantic Coast sitting here in the mix. And then looking at it, you obviously got Winter Park. Flagler Palm Coast could be a team that might be in the mix, but I don't know. We'll have to see here. But right this second, Atlantic Coast 3-2, and they're in the mix here for a playoff spot.
Yeah, Quickside sitting at 11. They're about where they should be, but again, they should also be able to win that district. So,
but by the way, I say this, and you're right. Atlantic Coast has got a 1-0 lead in that district, so they're 8 right this second. But we'll see what happens here, dealing with that going forward here.
Yeah.
But now with this next region, I got massive issues with. Tell me what's wrong with this, ladies and gentlemen. Tell me what the hell is wrong with this one. Where's Venice? Oh, I'm sorry. Venice is at 9. Why? I don't understand. Venice should be somewhere in this bracket. Maybe not in the top 4, but they should definitely be in the top 8. Where's Venice? 9.
Yeah, I mean, that's the comedy of errors right here. If anything, I would put Venice at maybe a number 5 or a number 6.
I mean, and that's about where my rankings have got them sitting at. It's about the 5-6 region. Sumner's about the top team right now, but Plant City's 1. Sumner's 4. Sarasota Riverview is 2. I don't disagree with Sarasota Riverview. Okay, being in that high range. There's Mark Cannon Sailors. Mark Cannon said Sarasota should be higher. Well, I mean, they're in the mix here. But looking at it, obviously you see Winter Haven sitting there in the mix, but Strawberry Crest could be in the mix here. There's a lot to beat. But you know what? There's one team that's not in this bracket here, and that's Apopka, 1-4. Where's Apopka at in this thing? 14 out of 17 teams in that region.
Mm-hmm. It's not a surprise, given how they played this year. I mean,
yeah. Here we go. Vero Beach sitting 1 at Region 3. There's really no question there. Vero Beach should be that 1 seed here. East Ridge 2. You know what? Actually, there's an agreement here with the computer rankings. Vero Beach, East Ridge, Dr. Phillips should be much higher. I don't think Fort Pierce Central is the third best team in that region. Dr. Phillips is, in my opinion. Actually, I think even Dr. Phillips probably could be above a notch above East Ridge. So there's a lot to be said here. Jupiter, St. Cloud, right in the right where they should be at. Lake Nona, probably about where they probably should be at. Palm Beach Central is the one team that is sitting on the outside looking in. They're ranked number 12. But I feel like, when you talk about Palm Beach Central, they've played a much tougher schedule. Obviously, Harmony's in the mix here as well. So, but a lot to really chew on this one.
Yeah, not much to chew about on this one, but I if anything, I'd probably put Palm Beach Central in that mix of above Harmony. So.
Yeah. All right. As we look at our final region, Class 7A region for Miami Palmetto, I agree with this in terms of the ranking. Miami Palmetto is sitting there. Actually, what's interesting about the rankings here, Miami Palmetto's 1 in the region, Goldman's 2 in the Florida Power Rankings Index. This matches up pretty closely. Coral Gables 3, I feel like you gotta tamper down Coral Gables a little bit. I feel like they just they haven't hit the meat of their schedule yet either. So, but Boca Raton 4. I mean, there could be some differences. Spanish River, I honestly think that's way too low for Spanish River to come up higher with them, in my opinion. But there's South Dade obviously sitting there at 5. South Dade obviously in the mix here. Goldman's 2, but Western, I feel like despite the fact that Western only has 1 win, they're sitting there at 11. But Columbus, you see there, Columbus is not in this bracket. They're number 12 right now.
Yeah, and Columbus, if they can pick up maybe a 1 or 2, they'll be in the bracket.
But Cypress Bay, I mean, that probably right there is a glaring right there. I don't know if Cypress Bay is like the 6th best team in the region according to these rankings.
No, not at all. If there's anything I would change, I'd pick Cypress Bay out of that bracket and put probably Western or Columbus in.
No, I agree. I agree.
And Saturday should be maybe a 4 or 3.
No, I agree with you. Definitely agree with you on that one. But wow. Holy cow. Well, this is going to change going into next week here. Now, hopefully we're going to have to tighten up things a little bit more in terms of our show schedule. So we're not running like too well until 11 o'clock here. So, but we had a couple of our shows run over here tonight here. But Chris, any final thoughts as we wrap this up?
That's a very interesting
first release. Yes.
Yeah. A lot's gonna change over the next few weeks, so that's one thing.
No, I mean there's a lot to change here and a lot to digest, and it's going to be interesting to see where we go with these teams and what happens here over. Obviously, that we got this week and then 5 more weeks after that in terms of the regular season, and there's going to be a lot to really take in as the FHSAA releases the rankings as we go forward. But again, we'll be back here next Tuesday night. Again, talk about this and more on our shows here. But we got our shows tomorrow night for Wednesday. I'm still trying to get a couple more guests lined up for a couple of shows. I've got Andy Johnson lined up for Central Florida to make up for last week. I'm waiting to hear about potentially having Nice's coach on for Northeast Florida. North Central Florida, I'm trying to get Buchholz lined up. We'll see. And then we'll have Christopher Saul from Mid-Bay News that also I guess we were going to have on last week. We'll have him on this week here for our shows. That's for the Panhandle. But, wow. Holy cow. Into week 6 we go here. We already got playoff rankings and projected brackets. It's, someone's asking the question here, Chris, as we wrap this up here. Strength of schedule not a factor anymore, and they say strength of schedule
it doesn't seem like it with this.
No, I agree. It doesn't seem like it. By the way, support the show, support what we're doing. Subscribe to us on YouTube. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification bell when we go live. Also, support us. Watch the ads. You can send a super sticker, super thanks to us. We definitely appreciate everything y'all do. And thank y'all for watching. And
don't forget tomorrow we'll have the roadmaps out and some other content as well.
Roadmaps, inside the numbers, FPRI rankings. We got a lot coming tomorrow and Thursday as well on footage of football coming. Obviously, the scores on Friday night. So, but for Christopher Like, I'm Joshua Wilson. Appreciate y'all watching us here on the Drive the State show. We'll be back next week and see you tomorrow night for our 4 Blitz shows as well.